and interweb. Um, so I want to welcome everyone to the numero uno episode of the Panographers, not to be confused with pornographers. We're kind of a rowdy bunch of panoramic photographers scattered across this wonderful planet of ours, and we seem to all have this common interest of shooting spherical photography in various facets, be it underwater, aerial, microscopic, gigapixel, 360 video. Our field has really taken off in the last 5 to 10 years into some amazing new spaces. And there's just so much new technology and new software and amazing new panoramic content that's being produced almost every day that we thought it would be a really great idea to start a video webcast and blog and podcast where we interview some of the key players and really talented pornographers in the industry. So we thought we'd start the show, episode 1, with the very famous and amazing Jeffrey Martin, founder of 360cities.net and the current record-holding pornographer of largest scale gigapixel image, which is the BT Tower in London. He's
Hello.
Here. I'll introduce him.
Hi.
And then we've also got Thomas Hayden, who's the Google trusted photographer and has been doing panoramic photography for, I'd say, probably about 15 plus years, and it just knows everything about the business and has a vast library and wealth of amazing images to share and some stories to tell. So I just want to introduce Jeffrey here. Maybe he can tell us a little bit about himself, and we'll take it from here.
I just shot a panorama. Hi, everybody. My name is Jeffrey Martin. I'm the founder of 360 Cities. I live in Prague, which is where I am now. It's nighttime outside, which I guess it isn't for you guys. I've been shooting panoramas for about 9 years now, and since almost the beginning, I've been pretty interested in shooting high-resolution gigapixel images, which I've been doing sort of more and more often, and managed to achieve a couple of so-called world records with some very large images. And I'm actually going to shoot another one on Wednesday this week, although it won't be such a big one. It should be quite an interesting one of Rome. So I'm very happy to be here. And yeah, how should we start?
Yeah, I think we'll just maybe introduce Thomas Hayden and have him tell the audience, our listeners, our viewers, a little bit about himself as well, just so they can kind of get a feel for our co-hosts today.
Hi guys, it's great to be on here with Gavin and Jeffrey. I've been shooting for a little bit less than 15 years, but I kind of came into this from the 360 video side. I started shooting with the immersive media cameras about 10 years ago, and fell in absolutely love with it. And shooting in 360 in general was sort of the passion. Video is cool, and 360 stills are just as cool. And been having a great time with gigapixel when I've had the opportunities and the right locations and things. Currently a Google Trusted Photographer. I was one of the original 35. I think there's now almost 3,500 of us around the world that are shooting Google Street View for the inside of businesses, and that's my day-to-day job.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, I think maybe we should start the show off with I've kind of broken up the show into sort of techniques of the week. So some techniques that might be able to help fellow photographers out there and people that are aspiring to be panoramic photographers, or even folks that have been in the industry for a long time and just want to know the latest greatest on some new developments in the industry and things like that. And then we've also got the show where we're going to talk about stories behind specific panoramas that you probably have seen or maybe you haven't seen. And then also, lastly, maybe just show off some gear, because I know a lot of us in the industry are real gearheads, and I know myself. I see certain panoramic equipment, and I definitely start to lust after it and do whatever I can to get my hands on it and start shooting with it. So Jeffrey has been he's privileged to be one of the first people to have the Ricoh THETA within his possession, and so we thought we'd have him kind of show it off and maybe talk about that a little bit. So I don't know where you guys want to start. Do you guys want to show some maybe some of your panoramas first, and then tell us some stories behind it, or we'll save the equipment for last?
I'd love to see some of Jeffrey's work.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So we can look at. If you see me looking down, I've been trying to set up the Ricoh camera with on Wi-Fi with my iPad, which we'll talk about later. So yeah, I can do one of my gigapixel images. If this works, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna switch the windows over. So this is the gigapixel shot from Tokyo Tower. Some kids on a, I don't know, is that Henry, or do you guys have little boys?
Yeah, yeah. I've got the entire collection of Thomas the Trains.
Yeah. Yeah, we do too. It's kind of in the back drawer these days. They grow out of it eventually. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the Tokyo Tower gigapixel. You can see there's a bit of weirdness. It's a little bit darker up here on the buildings. That's because that part of the picture was shot on a different day. Anyway, this image is...
wow, that's a challenge.
Yeah. So this image was shot with a 400mm lens on a Canon 7D. It's 400... how wide is it? I forgot. It's 600,000 pixels wide.
Wow.
And it's very, very high resolution. We were a little bit worried that we might get some complaints about privacy because it's Japan, and that's more of a concern in Japan than in other countries. But it's been fine. No one has complained. People seem to enjoy it. We did blur out the face of the guy who was sleeping on the ground, who had clearly fallen off the bench. And apparently in Tokyo, I don't know if the rest of Japan also, but it's apparently quite, for men, it's quite acceptable to just go to sleep on a bench somewhere on your way home if you feel like you can't make it home in a, in an honorable manner. So this guy obviously gone to sleep on the bench and then fallen off. And but anyway, we blurred his face out. We were working with a major Japanese newspaper, the Asahi Shimbun. Hold on.
Where is my pajama?
I'm live on the internet. I'm live on the internet. Can you? Not right now. Thanks. I don't know where your pajamas are. Sorry.
Where is my pajama?
Unplanned. Yeah.
Yeah, that's live TV.
Check, he's 7.
Yeah. Well, it's 7. So I should tell everyone that it's 7 o'clock, and it's actually after 7 o'clock in Prague. 7:30 in Prague right now. So it's bedtime for the little ones.
Yep. So here's a copy machine, some kind of printer. Yeah, this image was it was shot in 2 different days. I had a very, very strict time constraint because we basically had to beg our way into this access. It was on the roof, I can show you actually where it was shot from this one. So it was
Wow.
this is the Tokyo Tower here. So it was shot from you see my cursor? So
Yeah.
yeah, it was shot from here and from here. It was shot from 3 sides. So I shot about
On the red platform there.
Yeah, on this red platform, which is not public access.
Sure.
This is the lower observation deck, and this is the upper observation deck here. I tried shooting through the glass of the upper observation deck, but it really didn't work out very well at all. The glass is sort of laminated and didn't work. It was not sharp at all, and they wouldn't let me go up on the upper part here. So there was only one choice, and it was down here, which is not very high, but it turned out actually to work very well because there were things in the image that are higher than the camera, and on a lot of these tower gigapixels, it's at the very top, and you can only look down. So it actually worked out okay, but with the very strict time constraints, I was quite afraid that I wouldn't have enough material to actually stitch it properly, but it turned out to work okay.
Can you go into any more detail on those time constraints? Like, how much time were you given?
Well, he gave me 2 hours the first day, but we spent like 3.5 hours.
Sure.
Which he wasn't happy about, and then but the camera had slipped from its lens mount a little bit, so no, it's not a splinter. Thank you. I don't know. I'm live on the internet though, so it's not really a good time. I asked him to let me come back to shoot it again, and he said, okay, but really 2 hours, and do not exceed the time limit. So I had a total of 5 or 6 hours, basically, to shoot the whole thing with 2 separate attempts. And
Wow.
It was only great luck that I got it stitched. This is the second one from Tokyo, from Roppongi Hills. Mori Tower, which is one of the tallest skyscrapers in Tokyo. This was shot on a single day over about 7 hours with the same setup of 400mm lens and Canon 7D.
So Jeffrey,
Phenomenal. You know, these are the kind of stories, Gavin, that I'm so glad that you're starting this this hangout. Just to hear, you know, some of the behind the scenes on what goes into shooting these things, and you know, and the nature of 360 is that we have to get into the middle of something, right?
Yep.
Almost every story, you know, and almost every image has a great story behind it, and I'm glad that you're doing this, man, because this is the kind of stuff I certainly want to hear. You know, because I know what it, you know, I have some idea as to what it takes to create something like that, and you know, and those time constrictions and everyone else, you know, all the obstacles in your way to trying to you know, make a fantastic image like this, especially with this kind of detail, and all of the explanations you have to go through with every step along the ladder as far as getting permissions and things is
right.
You know, part of the challenge.
Right. So yeah, in terms of permissions, the Tokyo Tower, it worked.
Hey Jeffrey, can you close the get the app overlay?
Oh, sure.
Sorry, no problem.
There. Is that closed?
No, I just see you.
Oh, sorry. What did you? Oh, you.
It was on your viewer, the 360cities.net viewer. It said get the 360 Cities app. It was like overlaying the bottom of the.
Oh, sorry. Oh, right. Sorry. Okay. In terms of getting permissions, what worked? What didn't work was to have Fujitsu, who sponsored my trip, to ask permission, because then it's a giant corporation trying to get permission. They want money from that. What worked was to have another photographer call and ask nicely if he would kindly give us access for a few hours. So, yeah, that was interesting in terms of getting permission.
So, let's see here. So, Jeffrey, do you guys, just for kind of like on the viewer side, so I know you've got the Tokyo Gigapixel viewable on 360 cities. On the back end, I mean, do you guys use like a KR Pano, the new KR Pano plugin to view to show the gigapixel on 360 cities, or do you guys use the Garden Gnome viewer or?
Oh, we use KR Pano on the website and also on the iPad and iPhone apps.
Gotcha. I was wondering if you could actually show the Tokyo on your iPad Mini or something. Just kind of hold it up and show, because I think the way you've got it, it's still a spherical projection, correct?
Yeah.
It's still interactive. It's an interactive spherical image.
Yes, it is.
Which is important to point out, because one of the things that we wanted to talk about on this episode was that we're going to show our viewers how to take a panorama and upload it into Google Views and have it be a photosphere. But some of the issues that we want to talk about kind of relate to comparing it to 360 cities. So just kind of wanted to bring that up.
All right.
But that's great. That's a swimming pool right there?
Yeah, that was a swimming pool. So here it is on the iPad. Hold on. That's better.
Nice.
So I'm not zooming in on anything in particular, but you can see that it works with the full resolution.
And it works very quickly.
Yes. Yeah, it's very smooth. Works great.
Now, can I ask you guys a question? This would be a good opportunity. I've had a lot of clients ask, where can I host full-res spherical gigapixel images? And I've been unable to actually give them a good answer besides, setting up a server on Amazon and kind of building them their own microsite.
Right.
But because right now, like, you can't do it on GigaPan because they don't have spherical projection. So, do you guys think it might be something on your roadmap, through the 360 cities roadmap of offering your user base the ability to upload, to put gigapixel images on your site?
We've had a lot of requests for it, so it's something that we're definitely open to. And yeah, I can't really reveal anything right now, but I personally would very much like to have it, obviously.
Yeah.
From what I do, so yeah, it's something that we would love to offer at some point. I don't know exactly when, but I think it's quite likely that we will eventually. Yeah.
That'd be
awesome.
Fantastic.
Cool. Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. Well, keep us posted. Keep us posted on the you said the next one's going to be in Rome.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah, we'll have to have another episode where you talk about that. Maybe you can do a live broadcast from Rome or something.
Sure.
It is kind of a shame, Gavin, that there's the two things that are available. I mean, we can place fantastic gigapixel images out there on various services, but there's not that sort of happy medium of everything we might want to be able to, change a paradigm, really. With Facebook tagging or social tagging just in general, there's a service available from GigaPan, but then again, it's not spherical, right? And that's obviously what we kind of all want.
Yeah, I mean, my ideal situation, my fantasy rig, right, is something that can shoot very high resolution gigapixel full spherical images, but it's also light enough so that we can put it on a pole, get it at least 20 feet up in the air. I mean, Jeffrey, I know you've encountered this a lot, these challenging situations. And I'll talk about a little bit about this a little bit later. But when you shoot a gigapixel image, if you are on ground level, and people in front of you are going to be this big, right? So they're going to be covering up critical content. Now, if you put that rig 20 feet up in the air, all of a sudden those people are these tiny little, spots. And if you want to remove them, you can content aware remove them out of Photoshop, or you could just leave them in there, and they don't interfere with the image.
Right.
Also, speed is going to be really important. I mean, I've had a lot of clients. They want gigapixel. They want full spherical gigapixel tours, right? So that you can actually connect various gigapixel images together, and then embed and have places where you can embed 360 video as well. So, I mean, I know we're on the precipice, and it's really only a matter of time. But for all of us, it's whoever gets there first or is out ahead in charge, it sort of becomes the leader, the thought leader in this. They're the ones that are going to have all the clients, and and if you're in this to make a living out of it, it's important to be kind of remain on the cutting edge when those big projects do come in.
Yeah.
So hopefully someone out there is listening, when they watch this live or during the rebroadcast, that has some influence in the world that can help us all make this happen.
Yeah.
So, Jeffrey, did you want to show anything else about your work, or do you want to save it for another episode?
I'd like to show the Theta camera.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Should I do that now, or?
Yeah, let's save that for the end, because I know a lot of people are super interested in that. So that'll be our way to get them to stay tuned in.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so let's go over to Thomas and have him. Thomas, would you be willing to show your Grand Canyon river rafting?
Sure.
Trip?
Yeah, absolutely. Although I'm really looking forward to digging into the Theta camera a little bit too. My first personal project, I funded through a Kickstarter project back in 2010. I was actually going on this trip anyway. In a former lifetime, I was a whitewater raft guide, which was sort of what inspired me when I first saw 360 imagery to get into it, because I had the opportunity to take people to some of the most amazing places in the world, places that no camera really existed to capture. Everyone is always disappointed when they go down the Grand Canyon, and with almost every image they bring home, everyone's constantly snapping away photos, and they look at them, and it just never does it justice. My first trip on the Grand Canyon was in 2005, right after I was introduced to 360 imagery in general, and 360 video more specifically. And then after starting being a part of Street View and a bunch of other fun projects in 360 video and imagery, I had another opportunity in 2010 pop up where a friend sent out a wide invite for anybody who could row a boat and had the free time to run the Grand Canyon 225 miles.
Wow.
Over 18 days. And I had the time, and I thought maybe I could still actually pull it off physically. And it was a lot of fun. So my current wife, my girlfriend at the time, managed to get the time off as well. She's a nurse, so she was able to move some things around and get 3 weeks off. And we went down about, let's see, I guess it was just less than 2 weeks before we were supposed to launch on the Grand Canyon, that my neighbor showed me this new site called Kickstarter, and offered to help me make a video for it. And we put up in like 2 days, we put up a video and a Kickstarter page, and it quickly got funded. I was asking for $2,500, and reached out to a bunch of corporate sponsors as well in that time, who surprisingly quickly. I need to mention them: PNY, Storage, NRS, who provide rafting gear, and quite a few others actually jumped on board very quickly to help me out, and basically fund some of the technology that I needed to make what I was hoping would end up being sort of a Grand Canyon river view, similar to Google Street View. That was the original concept. Going through the technologies available at the time versus what was actually logistically possible without ruining everyone else's great time down in the Grand Canyon, I settled on the Gigapan for the gigapixel nature, for the zoomability. By the way, that's my little girl Kestrel back there. She's excited about being live on the internet too. So we settled on the Gigapan as far as what we were going to try to do, and found that the Epic 100 that they had at the time would work with the cameras that I had available. I wasn't really heavy into shooting 360 stills at the time. I didn't have a lot of gear, and I certainly didn't have a lot of money to invest in it. The trip was fairly expensive, although surprisingly, it's just a great way to get down the river if you can row the boat yourself. Just to give you some more context very quickly, a Grand Canyon private permit for you and your friends to row the Grand Canyon by yourself can often take 20 years as far as the waiting list went at the time, the way that they had it structured. The first trip that I went on in 2005 had been applied for in 1985, and the permit didn't come through for the people. They invited me in the year 2000, and we kept in touch for 5 years.
I've had people tell me it's kind of like trying to get get on the space shuttle.
Yeah. I mean, it's not quite like that, but it maybe someday will be. If you want to go down the Grand Canyon, you can very easily. It just costs more money, and you have to go with a bunch of people you don't know. So this was an opportunity to go with a group of friends. We all are former guides and know how to row, although the Grand Canyon is always a challenge. So I'll take you to Jeffrey's site and onto the boats real quick. Let me screen share here. So this is a panorama I call Hants on the Boats, and for obvious reasons, we're on board the boats there. So this is a panorama shot with a Canon PowerShot circa the year 2004 small consumer grade camera and an Epic 100 Gigapan. Most of these images were 112 images.
Thomas, did you have a waterproof housing?
No waterproof housing, so I didn't have the ability, obviously, to shoot while I was in motion down the river. So it ended up being all just stops wherever we camped or went hiking. This is our water filtration system here. So we're actually pumping water at the moment. And that's really cool that you can rent all of this gear as well as these yellow boats here. The blue boat here is a private boat owned by Todd Gordon, which was really nice of him to lend us his boat. And typically this is the type of place where you camp. You can just see the lip of one of the largest rapids in the Grand Canyon. That's Hants Rapid. It's a pretty intimidating place to look at, and thanks to Jeffrey's awesome interface here, we can pop on over to get a better look at the rapid. There are actually 3 images here, and I have to really thank Jeffrey again. When I started my Kickstarter project, one of the things that I promised was that these would go onto the public maps spaces. Through Gigapan, that wasn't able to happen at the time, and it was only through uploading these to 360 Cities were they just live and sitting on the maps for anyone to discover. And it's a series of 28 to 30, depending on what website you're looking at, 20 to 30 images from down in the Grand Canyon. This is a...
Yeah. You know, it's probably worth mentioning, too, that you can find the 360 Cities via Google Earth as well.
That's exactly where most people found it and where I was going with it. You know, Jeffrey's got a great map here, but that doesn't necessarily mean it can be found by anyone just exploring the map. Because the 360 Cities layer is visible in Google Earth and was in 2010, that was it 2011 when it first became visible? Was it a little later, Jeffrey? I'm not sure about the history there.
In Google Earth, it was first in 2008, I think, in the gallery layer, and then in the photos layer, which is on by default. That was 2011, I believe.
2011, yeah. So it was shortly after my trip that I discovered, and when that happened, that was absolutely huge for me. Just because people tend to spend a lot of time in the Grand Canyon on Google Earth, and then they were able to find these images down there, and on the various platforms. You know, within a year or so, I had over 1 million people that had actually seen these images, which was exactly what I was kind of hoping for, and spent a lot of time on down in the Grand Canyon. You know, it's a lot of work to get down into these places. I think this one was day. Let's see, this is number 10. This is probably halfway through the trip. So it took at least a week worth of rowing against very strong headwinds to get down to a place like this. You can hike down here. We met a couple of people at this camp who showed up and were extremely dehydrated and were getting water out of the river, and they were very excited that we had a cooler full of beer. And the Grand Canyon is just it's an amazing place that's sort of a natural for panoramic photography. I mean, geologists love zooming into some of these rocks here and determining what's igneous and what's sedimentary, and these layers that are popping out here. I used to know them all, but and then boaters get to see the rapids up close and personal and see where they're going to get to go. So I absolutely love it.
Thomas, I got a quick question for you. Do you have perhaps a future trip planned to go back there and kind of bring 360 video equipment, or maybe higher resolution cameras?
It's funny you should ask. Let's see, I'm going to kill the screen share for just a minute. It's funny you should ask because there was an opportunity in September to go down. Another invitation came through. Another old rafting guide friend with a permit popped up and had seen my other trip and invited me along to do exactly that. And we worked very hard to try to make it happen, and it wasn't able to happen this summer. So hopefully in the near future, I will get back down there, or someone else will, in order to do that. It certainly needs to be done. You've seen probably that Google has sent their trekker down the trails of the Grand Canyon. Nature Valley Trail View has used the old camera I used to work with to do some amazing imagery, and I can't believe they hauled that thing all the way down to the bottom and back up.
Is it on the Nature Valley website or something?
Nature Valley Trail View is a website, and I would consider it.
I've never even heard of it though. Maybe I'm just
They have full-page advertisements in every National Geographic for the last year and a half, 2 years maybe. They have a huge investment by General Mills into what is possibly the largest virtual tour project since Google Street View. Millions upon millions of images, unfortunately taken with the Dodeca 2360, but they're very low resolution. But it's a spectacular investment and a spectacular project on 4 different national parks now, where they've hiked every trail and done basically Google Street View of the trails inside of the national parks.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a spectacular, spectacularly huge undertaking, and I've been in contact with that group about doing some more things like that. Pastoral's impressed with it.
I think your daughter's very impressed.
So I wanted to show similar images from the Grand Canyon, also on Google Views, which is where I've recently uploaded them. And I guess I would have to screen share again, right?
Yep.
Let's see. So I've recently put the same images back up on Google Views here, and that's my wife and I. She actually said yes to my proposal of engagement the day before the trip, so I gave her an opportunity to back out if she didn't really want to go.
So that way, if you proposed to her and she said no, then you wouldn't be stuck on a raft together for
I'm a
2
little
weeks.
embarrassed with talking with you guys and showing you images with themes in them, but that's just
No,
these images have been reworked a bunch of times. I'm sorry, kiddo, you can come up. Come on. Okay. And some of the things that I really like about Google Views are, they have a lot of the same things that other websites have always had, so they've borrowed a lot on it. I like this little gallery thing that you can just flick through, and I'm interested. I want to see what that waterfall is, so maybe I'll go there. Jeffrey, when you mentioned the Tokyo shot being shot on a second day, this has a seam across it because it was shot on 2 different tries. The Gigapan, this was the largest one that I tried for with the Gigapan, and it ran out of batteries and ran out of card space. I had everything go wrong with this image. But this is one of the most spectacular spots down in the Grand Canyon, this waterfall just jutting right down to river level. And one of the things that I don't like about it is that on Jeffrey's website, when I zoom in, I can really see these scarlet flowers in very high detail. That level of detail just isn't available on Google Views.
What's the maximum resolution you can upload on Google Views?
They don't do it by resolution. From what we've been able to determine, Jeffrey, it's a maximum file size of 50 megabytes. So that's at a limitation with Google Plus. I don't think that their viewer has a limitation there because Google has certainly shown gigapixel resolution in gigapixel viewers with the Heart project. So we know that there's some capability there. They simply just haven't applied it yet here. So we'll see how that goes. The other cool thing is that these things do become live on Google Maps on the Street View layer, which is really the only layer in Google Maps. So this is still in Google Views, and they show up as red dots. But on Google Street View, if you zoom into Google Maps at 500 feet or less, that's when the Street View layer will show up, and everyone knows the Street View layer because that's what turned the streets blue that had Street View, and that's been there from the beginning. Now it also includes blue circles over panoramic photos that are uploaded to Google Views. I'll also have to say that, sorry honey, I'm going to set you down, that any of my Google Business Photos clients, they get orange dots in that layer for their Google Business Photos virtual tour that's inside their store. So they're adding some more functionality there with the layers system there. But I really certainly do miss that resolution capability. And there's a bunch of other things. If I type into this Explore bar Grand Canyon GigaView, which each one of my images are named in order to find one, or if I type into this one Blacktail Canyon into the search bar, I'm going to get no search results, which is a shame. On Jeffrey's site and Photosynth or any of the other ones, I can search out and find my images for presentation very, very quickly. Surprisingly and sort of sad is that we don't have that just quick search capability here. I have to actually go back to my gallery and wade through my whole list of photos in order to find it. I'll just take you to another place here. Oh, we've been there. This is actually one of my favorites as well.
Thomas, this might be a good opportunity. Can you show what this looks like on your iPhone or iPad?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great opportunity to do that. I have one already set up here, Gavin, of you and I in the Columbia River Gorge. Let me try to get back here. Here we go. Let's see. So
is that a spherical viewer?
No, and most of the panoramic photographers are going to recognize this as an equirectangular projection. So it's not in a spherical projection here, which is not ideal. And I was actually just giving some of the developers at Google Views a hard time about that on Google Plus, which I was really, really surprised and happily surprised that they were very responsive and, you know, told me what they could, but that they're going to try to develop that a little bit better.
I wonder if you can view it as a sphere if you have an Android device. I wonder if it was just something they were kind of trying to maybe limit the capabilities on iPhones and iPads just because it's their, you know, they're also competing with the iOS.
Yeah, I don't
perhaps.
think so. Although I can't tell you that for sure. Maybe if someone's watching, they can maybe chime in and find out. But Google does have a fantastic spherical player, obviously, in Street View. This is my most recent business photos client, a new school of rock here that's opened up here in Portland. And, you know, they have a fantastic player. This is an iPad. This is working in the native Google Maps, you know, the Google Maps app for iOS. And we're not, you know, and Views is part of Maps. So one has to kind of wonder why they're not playing well together. But I'm sure these things will all sort themselves out eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely fairly new. I'm gonna walk the audience through how to create a photosphere in a few minutes, but
Cool.
I think you'll quickly see. At least I found that you know, the process itself is not. I mean, I don't know if it's just Google in general, but the interfaces don't lead one to figure things out on their own. You know, I actually had to have Thomas actually show me a few extra steps that I wasn't able to find via their, you know, online instructions.
I think one thing that's definitely worth mentioning there to keep in mind whenever we're talking about Google and Photospheres or Google Views, all these platforms were developed for Android users to shoot with their Android devices, and it's very easy to upload and all of that if you're shooting with a mobile phone. And of course, that's sort of been what we've seen with Microsoft and Google and the big players sort of preferring the mobile users and going after that huge target market, as opposed to, you know, guys like Jeffrey who are catering to, you know, the demands and what we hope to see with, you know, professional panoramic photographers. You know, the numbers are just huge as far as people that are interested in shooting with mobile devices. I believe, Jeffrey, though, now on 360 Cities app, you can shoot with a mobile device as well, right?
That's right. Not fully spherical panoramas.
Okay.
You can shoot a single row. It's using the shooter and stitcher that's made by Dermandar. So
okay. And that was well before the Google or the iPhone panorama functionality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while before that came out.
It should be worth pointing out, though, that if you do a high-resolution panorama and you have a 360 Cities account, though, and you upload it there, that it does become accessible to view as a full sphere via the 360 Cities app. So
yeah,
you can view three full spheres within the app. You just can't create them from the phone.
Right.
From the phone itself. So
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I don't have one queued up. I should probably, let me see if I can pull one up while you guys. So Thomas, is there anything else you can tell us about your wisdom, your panographer wisdom?
You know, we could all go on for days here, because it's great talking about this stuff with you guys, and you know, Jeffrey and I rarely get the opportunity to talk via anything but chat. You know, I think it's exciting, all of how much attention the big players are paying to this space. Just in general, Views, I think, is a, you know, a good indicator. Although it has, to be honest, all of the Google business photos, Google trusted photographers, sort of scared about their investment, because it certainly looks like this is a consumer, you know, friendly platform that anyone will be able to use and upload to Google Maps. That's probably coming in the future. I mean, really the only difference between what I can offer to clients at Google Business Photos versus what they could do on their own with an Android device is higher quality and linking the panoramas to their business page and linking one to another. So, you know, really three things, which is nice to have three things that are differentiating for sure. But there's a wider range of what could happen out there given the right tools, the right toolkit. You know, Jeffrey's Sphericam is super exciting development in 360 video, and more of those coming along. The GoPro capabilities, and you know, we tend to talk just in terms of 360 video when talking about GoPros and GoPro arrays and things, which we certainly don't have time to get into here. But you know, one of the most exciting aspects for me for those is what the Ricoh also offers, which is the quick one-shot panorama solution that, you know, just gets the shot and, you know, captures that moment in time. You know, we've all been in the middle of a crowd and wanting to get that energy captured in 360, and you know, when you're clicking from one to another, it's very difficult, and then, you know, kind of a pain in the process. So I'm really excited to hear more about the Ricoh. And
I know our audience is dying to see it. We're definitely teasing it up.
I know. Well, thanks everyone for looking at my 4-year-old project and waiting for it, but I think it's clearly time.
Do you want to show that app, your Google Business Photos app, Thomas?
Oh, sure. I showed it very, very quickly, but it's just inside the Google Maps app. Let's see if I go back to any business listing here. We'll have you know, your standard Street View and Photos. If they're a Google Business Photos client, then they also have the See Inside button, and that will take you inside the panoramic virtual tour. Street View functionality you can walk through. Oh, you don't like me doing this, huh, kiddo? So Google Business Photos, I think everybody knows about. You know, it's growing very, very quickly. I'm seeing new photographers signing on every day. And like I said, we've grown from, in a year and a half, we've grown from 35 photographers to probably over 3,000 now. I might have to sign off here in a little bit, guys, but
I can mute you if you want.
I'm gonna go ahead and mute it, and
yeah, you can mute it, and I'll show some of my work.
Will do. Yes, please.
So what I wanted to show too is so we've got the 360. It's hard to see things backwards here. There's the 360 Cities app right there. So what you can do, what I really like, is it's got this Explore feature down here, and when you upload your panoramas into 360 Cities, it eventually, it'll locate you where you are, and then you can zoom in and kind of find where your panorama is, and then you can let's see here. It gives you sort of like similar information about the image, and then you can actually then explore it in a similar manner. So there you go. So so it's a really nice experience, and then you can actually see how when I turn it, it changes. It's kind of the built-in gyroscoping, which I really like.
That motion navigation is, I mean, that's key for us, right? On any mobile device, that's absolutely key.
No, Jeffrey, I don't know if there's a resolution limitation, but I didn't find one. Like, I can still zoom in here, and like there's my son. Let's see, zoom in here. I can still zoom in and get him pretty detailed, which is pretty nice. So, you know, it's kind of there's lots of options out there, and I guess we're just kind of, you know, one of the reasons we're showing all these is because we want people to know what they can do, and you know, some of the amazing stuff that's available. Let me see if I can screen share my screen here. I'll just do desktop. I'll shoot this. Okay. So here we are. I kind of wanted to talk about one of my images. This is a Kalapa Ridge Trail image, and this was a real tricky image to get. Can you guys see my cursor at all? Right there?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So this image I returned to. This is on the island of Kauai, and on my bucket list is to do the Nepali Coast Trail. I think it's 11 miles. It might be 12 miles. But it's a spiritual journey. Did you guys ever see? I don't know if our audience as well. There's a movie called The Perfect Getaway, and it's about these two folks who murder this couple, and they steal their identity, and then they escape on the island of Hawaii. But it was filmed on the.
I did see that, and the area is spectacular.
Yeah, I mean it's
films.
Yeah, I mean it's mind blowing. And what's really fun about 360 Cities is you can see down here on the bottom. There's actually other photographers who have gone and done that trail, and they've actually shot some pretty amazing images down there. I'll just click on this one real quick. And so it's on my bucket list, and it's kind of, I went out there and I had all the gear ready to go, and when I got there, it's actually, the reason why it's a spiritual journey is because people die on it quite frequently, and right before I got there, a woman got washed out to sea. There's all these rivers that overflow, and people try to cross them, and they end up, regretting it. But you can see what's really nice about about 360 Cities is it actually shows you other photographers who were in a similar area, and it creates almost like this virtual world of images. So I just wanted to show you this image because what's really cool about this is that I was right about, let's see, here we go. I was right there. That's where I was shooting my image.
Wow.
And so we can go back to that one. Now, I was pretty bummed when I got there because they closed the trail down, and they said, folks weren't allowed to hike it until they rescued the body, and they made sure that it was safe to do the trail again. So I was like, I flew out to Kauai with this goal in mind, and the goal was to shoot this beach right here. Let me go over here real quick. So this beach is the spiritual end of your journey, right? So you can do it in an 18-hour hike, or you can do it over 2 days or a week. And what you do is you get to the end here, and it's this. There's actually this valley here where there's actually a big hippie community that lives there, and it's considered by many one of the most beautiful places in the world. And so they get there and they never want to leave, and that's why there's a community of people living down there. And there's just like endless valleys and waterfalls to explore, and fruit to eat, and it's just this magical place. There's all these water fountains these waterfalls that you can swim in. Down there. So what I wanted to show was that I actually met a local guide, and he took me, I told him about my dilemma, about how I wanted to shoot this beach, and I wouldn't be able to get to shoot it unless I got on a helicopter or what have you. And he said there's a trail, it's not on the guidebooks, it's called the Kalapa Ridge Trail. It's very hairy. All the rock here is very crumbly, right? So what happens, we got to this trail, and you can see you can go about this far, and then what happens is you get to this edge here, and then the rock starts to crumble and fall apart.
Whoa.
And it just starts to break away. And
wow.
From here, the only way you can actually see these rock formations and this beach is if you get on your hands and knees and you crawl along the dirt here, and then you peep your head over here, and then you can see down here. So that really wouldn't give me much of a shot. So what I did was I kind of scouted the location, and then the next day we came back, and I brought my my Nodal Ninja pole, and so this is a 6-shot. I had to use my 8mm 8 to 15 Canon fisheye with a 6 shots around, to shoot this one, and it's actually, so what it did was I elevated. I was actually standing right here, and then the pole is elevated 20 feet in the air. So with it elevated, you could actually see this entire view, which was just, you know, I was so psyched after I shot it because I didn't have a cam range or anything, so I actually couldn't see when I raised the camera up in the air. I didn't actually know what my shot was going to be until I brought the camera back down again, and I was just so psyched that I was able to actually capture all this. And my goal is to actually go back here and shoot a full spherical gigapixel image of it, which would be amazing because I'm actually going to show you another image which was shot the day prior, which was slightly. The weather was not as good as that day. Here, let me share you this other image with you. So this is a gigapixel image of just a partial view. This was shot the day prior, and it was a very windy day, and there was lots of kind of like ocean mist and fog and some clouds coming in. So that's why you get these kind of shadows across the rock face. But what's really beautiful is you can really get in there. And so these mountains right here are 7 miles away, which is just, you know, it's just amazing. And there's actually a helicopter in this shot. One of those, they call them the local birds of the island, which are just the tourist helicopters. So.
Yeah, but this is virtual tourism. The ability to zoom in like that.
Yeah, so you can see here's these beautiful waterfalls. So I'm going to be returning there and actually hike up in this valley. It's on my bucket list, and it's going to be done sooner than later. So if anybody's watching this and wants to come along with me on this trip, you know, feel free to reach out. But so my goal has been, how can I do this hike, right? How can we do this hike and bring a spherical gigapixel rig, you know, on a 3-day journey? You know, that's sort of a reasonable weight limit. Now, right now, I can't really see myself doing it with, like, you know, a round shot VR drive and a full frame DSLR, and I can't see myself doing it either with, you know, with a Gigapan Epic Pro. They're just too heavy. We do a lot of day hikes here in Portland, and you know, when you bring all the other camping gear on your backpack, and then you put the Pro gigapixel rigs on your back with a full-size body, you get up into the 50-pound, you know, 40 to 50-pound range, and then after 8 hours of hiking like that, you know, it really starts to kill your back. So what's really cool is you can see back here, I was actually able to get the Gigapan Epic 100 on a pole, and the Epic, the Bill Bailey's Nodal Ninja poles, they have a weight limit, a max load capacity of about 5.5 pounds, recommended at full extension. So when it goes 19 feet in the air, and then you get an extra couple of feet, depending on your tripod, about 20 plus feet in the air, you really don't want to have more than 5.5 pounds of weight up there, or then you're risking, you know, life and limb very easily. So as everyone knows, Sony's going to be announcing some full-frame mirrorless bodies within the end of this month, and I've actually already, so I did a bunch of test shots, and I've been able to get the you know, the NEX7 works perfectly fine up there. The problem is you get that the nadar is a big issue with the Gigapans, and that's why a lot of folks use round shots. Jeffrey, I don't know, you can probably speak better to that. You know, you're kind of the master at full spherical gigapixels. I know you've used a bunch of different ones over the years.
Yeah, I don't put them on the end of a pole though.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm currently using the Sights VR drive, which for me is the easiest to use, and it's definitely precise enough for pretty much anything that you want to do. If I was going to put something on the end of the pole, it would be that one. I've also used the Klaus robot, which is extremely well engineered, but I don't enjoy using it as much. It requires a laptop to be tethered to it, so that reduces the kinds of places where you can shoot, and obviously it's not nearly as portable, requiring a laptop to use it properly.
Yeah, there's a lot of situations, though. I mean, I'm sure you've encountered this where you get to a spot and you really just, even if you raise your rig up in the air maybe 6 feet, it would open up. It would open up sort of a wealth of image opportunity. I just did a hike to the top of the Hamilton Mountain, and there was so much occlusion, tree occlusion, and I was like kind of killing myself because I was like, God, if I could only get it up 10 feet, just above the tree line, this would be the most phenomenal gigapixel ever. So it definitely seems to be there's kind of a vacuum in this space right now where if we can get a gigapixel rig elevated and stable enough, you could get some really groundbreaking shots.
Yeah.
So should we?
Sometimes those 10 feet make all the difference.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to show is, let's see here. Let me bring it up. Maybe hold on a second. Okay, let me screen share this. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
So I just ordered mine.
Good fun. What's the delivery say?
2 days. In stock.
Oh yeah, so it's shipping now, huh?
It's shipping now. 2 days.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So let's maybe this would be a good segue for Jeffrey to show off his.
Okay. So here's the camera itself. So it's very, very small. It's like, oops, sorry. Hold on. Can't take that call right now. So yeah, it's really small. It's got a lens on each side, so you can see. Each lens has probably around a 220-degree field of view, if Ricoh's patent filings or anything to go by.
Hey Jeffrey, does it have your standard like camera screw mount on the bottom?
Yeah, it does.
Awesome.
And there's a.
What's that little adapter part? Is that the power cord or something?
It's
it's a
micro USB.
Micro USB.
So same thing you use to charge your non-iPhone phone.
Gotcha.
And on the side there's a power button and another button that turns the Wi-Fi on or off. Since Wi-Fi uses a lot of power, it made it possible to switch the Wi-Fi off like that. So on the front there's one button. You take a picture. That's all it does. You push it. Makes a kind of futuristic sound when you do it. So what I'll show you now is how it works when you can tether it to your iOS device. I've been told that it's going to work eventually with Android, but for the product launch, they've got it working only on iOS. So I've got the Wi-Fi turned on the camera itself. As you can see, the red light there. The red light means that it's not connected yet. So I'll put the camera to the side and get my iPad. So I'll unlock it and have to go to settings. And I have to join the Wi-Fi network of the Theta camera. So I've joined the Theta Wi-Fi network. So then I launched the Theta app, and you've got this green symbol here. That means that the camera is connected to my iPad. This is, incidentally, this is an iPhone app, so it's pixel doubled, which you can't notice here, but it's not quite perfect on the iPad. So to take a picture, I push this bottom button, and then this dialog comes up. So I'll try to get everything in the picture right now.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
How far is the Wi-Fi distance? Because I'm interested in mounting the Theta to this guy, to this bad boy.
Yeah, I haven't tested it. I've heard it's around 30 meters, but I can't say for sure.
Okay. And the reason I asked is because it's got, we've got the, this quadcopter has a little, your typical mount right here. So for gimbals.
Yeah, I think in a wide open space, you should probably be able to get quite a bit of distance. Anyway, so on the iPad now I can push this big green button, and I've just shot a panorama. Now the camera is transferring the picture to the iPad. It takes a while. Oh, it didn't work. See, sometimes it doesn't work. I'll try it again. Oh, now it's disconnected. So this is.
Do you have to reshoot the panel, or did it take it and it's just is it stuck in the memory, the Theta's memory card?
Right. So it most likely did shoot the panorama, but it the Wi-Fi connection got a bit flaky. So
okay. So that'll be. So that's another question for you. Is then can I guess it's almost like we might have to have a device that actually kind of auto presses it if you want it like on a balloon, or you want it somewhere beyond the reach of your fingers to trigger it.
Right. So
if the Wi-Fi is not reliable, I mean, like if you could.
Yeah, exactly. So this is one of the major shortcomings of the device, is that the only way to remotely trigger it is with a mobile app, which is sometimes just not going to work. If you're like on a motorcycle, you don't really want to have a phone in one hand and a camera in the other hand, or, something like that. So what I would love to see would be some kind of stick with a button on the end of it that would be able to push a button like inside the tripod mount of the camera itself. That could be a one way to do it, but it definitely needs some kind of remote control to trigger the camera that's not a Wi-Fi required mobile phone. Another.
You hear that, Theta developers out there?
Another possibility would be that the camera doesn't require an app, but instead would have a web server that would just have a web page that you could use to access the camera. So instead of requiring an app, there's just a website which is broadcast by the camera itself.
That would make sense too, because I mean the files are not that big, right? They're like 6.9 megapixels or something like that. So they could be easily transmitted. I mean that's the size of like an iPhone photo.
Right. That's right. So I'll try it again. I'll take another picture. So I'll push this. Okay, so now it's transferring the picture. It's also converting it into cube faces for the viewer, I believe. I can't say for sure. Yeah. So here is my living room, and here's my laptop, and here's me.
Nice. Wow. It's amazing. So how does it? So it sort of does a general auto exposure for the entire scene. Like, would it be able to change exposure on one side of the device and the other, or is it kind of set the same exposure for both sides?
It's the same exposure for both sides. It might be slightly under or over exposing one side, but then it gets equalized after the picture is shot. But yeah, it's always mostly equal unless there's some kind of lens flare, which is sometimes unavoidable. And in that case, there's a clear exposure difference between one side and the other.
Interesting.
I can show you on the Theta website couple of panoramas. So can you see that? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So this is.
I do like that you're not shy about showing up in your panoramas too.
Yeah. Wait. Actually, it disappeared all of a sudden.
It did?
Yeah. It shows you the website, but the viewer itself is not visible. Oh. There you go. I can see it now. I think what happens is as you drag it, it disappears, and then when you let go, it returns.
How's that?
That's good.
Okay, so this is in a double-decker bus in London, and I'm actually in the way of the driver. He can't see his side mirror, so he's about to scold me. But he hasn't given my stop because everyone's very polite there.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, and as you mentioned that, Thomas, you better not be shy about being in your shots if you get a Theta camera because it's almost unavoidable.
And that's kind of the point, though, right? It's
yeah, it is part of the point. There's my daughter at our new house. So yeah, it's yeah for the selfie generation out there. This camera is pretty cool. And overall, it's definitely kind of achieving a dream that all the panoramic photographers out there have had, which is to just get everything in a single instant. And in addition, it's threatening our livelihood. I think by the very fact of it being so amazingly easy.
It was only a matter of time.
Yeah. And
well, I think it leaves a lot of room for pro quality to start making an appearance, and the more people are thinking about panoramas, I think it is a rising tide that lifts all boats. But that theory is yet to be proven.
Right. Yeah, you can get lots of fun shots. It's sort of, I don't know, at least personally, I can't resist sticking it in somebody's face.
There's definitely an Alice in Wonderland theme going on with your images.
And this shot is one of my favorites that I've made so far. It's inside a bucket.
Nice. There's a floating Mickey there.
Yeah, so just the kind of crazy perspectives you can get. I mean, look at that. It's inside a bucket. How cool is that?
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I mean, it opens up a whole world of new images that you can create that you couldn't create before this device came along.
Exactly. Yeah, there are a lot of subjects and things and situations and moments that were simply not possible before at all, and now it's pretty easy. So yeah, that's really tremendously exciting, and yeah, I hope the camera does well because what they've achieved in terms of engineering is totally amazing. I think.
I saw you posted on Facebook that you ran a test with the Theta camera in front of at the Tube in London.
Yeah.
And that you discovered that it's got some kind of rolling shutter, possibly.
Oh, I just typed it. It has a global shutter. And
it's a global shutter.
Yeah. So for anyone out there who doesn't know what that means, it means that it's capturing all pixels at the same time, and this is very uncommon. Almost all cameras capture one line of pixels at a time. It captures one line of pixels reads that out, captures the next line, and it does it very, very quickly, obviously. But you can notice when things are moving quickly, either people or vehicles, that things can be sort of skewed like this. And obviously, if you have multiple cameras which need to have images that line up exactly, that is not desirable. So I'm just trying to find if I've got any of these English tube shots. I don't have them on the Theta website, but yeah, what I found is that it's definitely capturing all the pixels at the same time. So the pictures are always almost completely seamless. There's some cases where if you've got subject matter that's very, very close, that there might be a very small alignment error between the lenses, but in almost all cases, there's perfect alignment.
That's awesome.
You know, something else I've been pretty impressed about with the Theta is that they've not only created the device, but they've created the platform behind it, which Sony pretty much failed to do in their attempt a couple of years ago with the Bloggy, or the Bloggy adapters sort of thing, and they were testing it. You know, but there could have been a great sort of low-quality consumer end opportunity there, and they didn't really provide the rest of the platform that was needed. No place to display them, no interactive player that was on the web, and all of that. So it is sort of nice to see a company like Ricoh take that extra step and you know, provide the services that need to go along.
Right. Yeah. Although currently I mean, they've just launched, so I'm willing to forgive a lot of shortcomings because you have to launch sometime, and you don't want to wait until everything's perfect. If they wanted to wait until everything was perfect, we'd be waiting another year or two, I think. So I'm glad that they've launched things as they are.
I think what's interesting about the Ricoh THETA is that, you know, they're going to see how much interest they can garner from this first launch, this sort of beta version, or, you know, the version 1.
Right.
And I mean, I've already noticed on the panoramic forums online that there's just a huge excitement, even though it's such a low resolution device, because it offers you the ability to shoot things that you've never been able to shoot before, that we've all wanted to shoot.
Right.
Years. There's so many pre-orders already. There's so much excitement that it'll probably be, you know, a big motivation for them to have like version 2 higher resolution, version 2, 3 maybe have video. You know, that's what my hope is.
Definitely.
Is that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
I guess that video would only require a hardware or a firmware update, right? For something like that.
I'm not sure about that. I think it's very, very, very demanding in terms of the hardware, and just to take when I push the button repeatedly. I mean, I can do it right now. So if I push the button repeatedly, it's you know, every second for a while until the buffer fills up, and then it now the buffer's full. So that's this is 1 frame every 2 or 3 seconds. You've got to speed that up about 50 times to do video, and you have to you know, process it and write it to something. The camera, I believe it's actually rendering the panorama right after you're shooting it. So yes, to do video, I think the hardware is going to be much more powerful, and I would be pretty shocked if this actual camera would be able to do video with a firmware update. But hey, I would be I would love that. That would be great.
That's kind of what I was guessing, but yeah, I can see that now for sure. I was just going to note that it's a happy little sound for that they have to sort of the audio cue that, wow, I've just created a panorama. That little zzz thing is a cute little sound.
Yeah, it's really funny in public when I take this out. People are wondering, like, what the heck is that? And then I push the button and it makes this like weird sound. And then they're really wondering what it is. And like the closest thing I've heard is that it's like that thing in Men in Black.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's exactly like that thing in Men in Black. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the closest thing people can think of when they see this, because it's really kind of still very obscure, having only just been released.
Well,
So
all of these toys are, I'm sure you get a similar response when you take SphereCam out.
Oh yeah.
I probably sold dozens of Gigapans in my first few years shooting, just taking the Gigapan out where other photographers are. And the same thing with, the immersive media camera back in the day, and the GoPro rigs today. You get a ton of attention when you've got these new technologies with you.
Yep, that's true. Yep, especially when you're traveling through the airport.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, so true. That's why it's actually good to have these things. Make sure when you are traveling, especially internationally, that you have these things charged. And if you've got your phone and they're connected, you can actually quickly show someone that's giving you a hard time how the thing works. I've had to make sure that all my Gigapants have fresh pair of batteries in them because they kind of look like bombs to some people.
Yeah.
Well, I think maybe I should move this along and just quickly show folks how to create a photosphere, and then we'll probably wrap it up.
Okay.
Does that sound good? I know you guys. It sounds like your children are demanding some attention.
Yeah, it's getting late here, so yeah, sounds good.
Sure. Okay, so let me screen share my my browser here. So, and feel free to pipe in, Thomas, because actually Thomas he's a Google trusted photographer, and he's the guy that showed me how to do this. So he has a lot more knowledge in this than I do. But I figured I'd give it a go and give it a shot and try to show it live to our viewers and see if I don't completely mess it up. So the first thing I was shown was that you can actually they've got an online uploader called Photosphere. You can just Google Photosphere on their browser, and it just basically looks like this. It just asks you to choose a file. They want the file to be 360 by 180. Your typical rectilinear image. I think if I'm correct, the image needs to be 50 megabytes or less. Is that right, Thomas? Did we lose Thomas? And maybe he muted himself. So I've got this image here, and then you just basically select the image, and then it gives you it tells you that it's uploading. To please wait. And actually, it can take quite a while, even though this is a very small image to upload. And basically, then once it's uploaded, you get this sort of preview of it. It asks you where your compass heading was, where your field of view was, so you can kind of change where the image starts out. It also asks you to create a marker of where the image is. I've tried putting in GPS data into this particular part, and it doesn't. It seems as if they require the GPS data to be formatted differently for it to work. You can't use the GPS data that comes right out of your raw file. I'm sure Thomas can speak to that, but so basically you just kind of go in and find where the image was shot. You just manually do it within this little Google Maps window. So I won't actually find the location. Let's just say it's in the general vicinity of right here. It's in the Hoyt Arboretum. So we'll just you just double click there, and then you say next step. And then basically once you do that, it actually starts kind of loading in the image into their Photosphere player. So then it kind of builds you a Photosphere projection. And once it's done that, I think it's pretty much set. It's sort of in their map system, and then you kind of have to wait 24 hours to see if the Google team is going to approve it or not, and then it will appear in Google Maps. The other thing, let me just go to the
Just a couple of things to point out there. You're right. 50 megabytes is so far what we found to be the upload limit. And this is, there are several communities on all the social media areas that are dedicated to this, where, especially with DSLR shooters that are interested in doing this type of thing and making photospheres. But I just also want to point out the difference between a photosphere and what go in Google Views. Photospheres are what go on to Google Views, but Google Plus also has a Photosphere interactive spherical projected viewer. And so there might be some confusion there. This is a great way to get the metadata so that Google Views will recognize your image as a photosphere. So it's essentially putting the same metadata on your image taken with your DSLR and stitched with your software. It's putting the same metadata on there that your Android device with Jelly Bean would place on an image shot with the Android device. So if that makes it more complicated, I apologize, but I'm trying to just do the simplification there.
Yeah, I actually wanted to show share my screen, my entire desktop here, because Thomas actually showed me another way to do it, which is, Thomas, where did you get that XML file, that the XMP file?
Yeah, the XMP file. That's a very good question. I'm not sure whether or not the one. I'm not sure if the one you have was originally that I built it with outside software, or I certainly found the information for that file on various websites. There have been several blog posts that have been very good on instructing me through that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to show folks how that process, which is a little bit different. So basically, what you do is you take the image that you were working on, right? So here's the JPEG I had here of the panorama, and then what you do is you open up that XMP file in a text editor, and let me know if you guys can't see this. And then what I do is I input the size of the panorama inside the XMP file. So it's the full panorama width is 9,256 pixels wide, and it's 4,628 pixels high. And then you save that out. You just hit save, and then when you're in Photoshop, you go to it's file info, and then you go over here to so normally it just starts off like this. You go over to the advanced tab, and then you actually you import that file. You can just have it set to keep original metadata, but replace matching properties, the middle bullet. And then you can actually just import that metadata into the file. So you can see the way you know that it's been imported successfully is that you can see it says google.com here. And it also shows you the information that I just adjusted. So there's the new panorama width. So you hit OK, and then you just save that out. I'll save it out as a different version, 02 on my desktop. And then what I do is actually go to my Google Plus page, and I go to Photos, and I'll just say, you give your photo. It's just like you're adding a regular photo in your Google Plus account, and then you actually upload it. And I have a folder set with my Photospheres, so you can choose. I'll choose to upload it in my Photosphere folder, and you can also choose to share it to your circles or specific friends or the public. And it should have recognized it as a photosphere. I don't know why it didn't. Do you know anything about that, Thomas?
Were the dimensions that you edited, were they proper? That's something I haven't experimented with, but it might not recognize it if the dimensions don't match.
Yeah, let's try. I have another one. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's in here. Yeah, so we've got this one right here, which I've actually already uploaded.
And I was just going to mention again that once you put it into Google Plus, then you've got a photosphere in there, and if the metadata is correct on that photosphere, then Google Plus, when you click on it, will recognize it as a photosphere and serve it to the viewer in an interactive player. It'll also get the icon that you were looking for before, which would be right in the center of the equirectangular. But when you share it, it just shows it as an equirectangular. The interactive ability isn't in there.
Right, right. So let me. So what I'm showing here is that I'm uploading one of the files that I added the metadata to, and then when we upload it into just your regular via your Google Plus page, as Thomas just said, it should, once it uploads, it should recognize that metadata and appear as a photosphere. And it has a little photosphere icon that appears over the image if you know it successfully worked. So can you guys see that?
Yeah.
So there's the photosphere. So then you say share, and it takes into your your Google Plus account, and then what you do is you go to is it views, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you go to the Google Maps views page, and you basically say there's this camera icon up here with a plus symbol, and you say I want to add a photosphere, and you actually go to your folder where you just uploaded that image, and then you click on the image, you select it, you can add a location. And this is exactly the same interface that we showed you before, which is the more standard version. The only difference is that it actually has this drop a place mark button up here. So there's a little bit more interactivity. You say save, and then you just hit apply, publish. I'm not going to publish it though because I didn't put the right data in there. And then it's the same situation. You wait about 24 hours, and then you then it will hopefully appear on your on the Google Maps page. And something that Thomas showed earlier is that if you go to Google Views, it'll have sort of it's sort of like a sort of Foursquare. Like for instance, Thomas Hayden is sort of like the king of Portland, Oregon. He has photographed every business, every park, every place you can go in this city. So if you go to, if you're on Google Views, Map Views, basically all of his photospheres just sort of appear everywhere. So it's an interesting, business strategy is to sort of, decide like as a panoramic photographer, if you publish all your content via Google Photospheres, you can sort of really get recognized pretty quickly within that area. So.
As it becomes more popular, it's worth noting, though, that there's some obvious concerns there, just as far as usability of the map. If once all these photospheres go on to Google Maps, once they're approved, I was saying before that they each get a little blue dot in the Street View layer. Something that I discovered at the Japanese Gardens, which is obviously extraordinarily popular for all photographers in Portland, is that they actually don't show up as blue spheres over the Japanese garden. So I'm guessing that there is something, there are polygons somewhere on the grand Google map that limits the number of photosphere icons that can show up, because obviously, in a year from now, if hundreds of people have shot with Android devices, many dozens of photospheres apiece at the Japanese gardens, then when you look at the Japanese gardens on Google Maps and you drag out the Street View icon, you're going to see nothing but thousands of bubbles over the Japanese gardens. It's going to obscure the map and just not look good. So I'm guessing over very popular places like that, there's some sort of limitation that basically the only ones that I've had not show up on Google Maps have been in places, high tourism places like that. So it's something to consider if that's a strategy that you want to employ. I should mention that there's a Google Trusted Photographer up in Calgary, I believe, is where Kyle Geisbrick is at. He had one of his panoramas featured in the LA Times when they covered Google Views. Here just recently, some of the most interesting places in Google Views, and immediately had tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of views on that image, and he's done some extraordinary work on getting his name out there on Google Views, and he has several hundred photospheres uploaded to it. It's another great platform.
Do you know if there's a way to add additional information, like links to your own website or links to a higher resolution version of that panorama elsewhere that's not on Google?
There is. You can add a ton of detailed data, and that's something I've been trying to do. Is in 360 Cities, I link to the same image in Photosynth. In Photosynth, I link to the same image in 360 Cities, and I'll go back through and do all of that, just for SEO, but also just because there are advantages to each platform.
Gotcha. Well, I think we're going on almost 2 hours now, so we probably lost a lot of listeners. I think the next episode maybe we'll try to keep it under an hour, and we'll try to be more organized. But I think this has been a huge success. I think the information that we've shared is hopefully everyone that's listening and has been watching this has found it very valuable. And please reach out to us on the Panoramic Photographers on Facebook or Google Plus if you want to have us cover other topics. And yeah, Jeffrey, do you want to have any parting words or?
Yeah, there's one thing. You and Thomas kept mentioning Jeffrey's site when you say 360 Cities, which I understand for clarity. I'm one of the three people in this podcast hangout, but I just wanted to call out my 5 colleagues. I'm not personally doing any of the programming on 360 Cities. I have 3 awesome colleagues, Gerardo, Vlad, and Balázs, who have done all the programming. Gerardo's the tech lead. He's from Spain, and he's done a tremendous job to keep the site up and running for all these years. So I want to, tip my hat to those guys. And then
That's awesome.
Bruce, the CEO, and Steve, who's in charge of all of the licensing and special projects. So yeah, it's definitely not been a one-man project by any means. And it's been a lot of people who've been keeping the ship going. So I just wanted to.
And they've all been fantastic to talk with, and you guys have always been super responsive, not just to me, but I've also seen all across social media that everyone's always really excited about the community that you guys together have all created out there.
Thanks. Well, hopefully we'll have some interesting things to announce soon. Hopefully.
Yeah. Looking forward to it as always, Jeffrey.
Cool. Well, it's been great talking with you guys and sharing all this cool stuff. So let's do it again soon.
Definitely. Thank you so much for doing this episode, and I guess we'll reconvene in a few weeks, and maybe we can do something out of Rome if you're interested. We'll figure that out moving forward.
Yeah.
And Thomas, thanks so much for having you and your daughter on. She's a young gigapanner right there.
She is. She's excited about the whole thing. She especially loves everything on a tablet. Thanks you guys for having me. Thanks Gavin for putting this together. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, Jeffrey's all the way over in Czechoslovakia, but you and I are just across the river. But it's still a great way to keep up the communication and great conversations.
Well, awesome. I'm glad you guys could make it, and we'll see you next time.
Cool.
Have a great weekend.
Super cool. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye, guys.